Yes.
Yes, okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, good afternoon. I'm Zumara Maria Teixeira de Lima, and I am the president of the Long Beach Holistic Chamber of Commerce. And we are starting something new this month. And the Holistic Chamber usually has 2 meetings a month. One is the regular meeting where people come together. And our second meeting in Long Beach has always been happy hour. And I'm not a happy hour kind of person, so I couldn't do happy hours. First of all, I don't hold drinks very well, so I can't drink and drive. So I can only drink like at home. And then or if somebody else is my designated driver. And then I'm getting to that point where I'm too old to digest bar food really late at night. I was telling Scott this yesterday. He's like, I get it. You're at some point your digestive system says, I can't do greasy food late at night. And it just doesn't work. Cheese sticks are fine, but it has to be like right before I'm going on a hike or something, because after a while your body's like, and no, we don't do that anymore. So I was trying to think of something else to do. And I had this idea of doing the Radiance magazines, because I think book clubs are really, I love book clubs, but it's such a big commitment to read a book. But articles and having a discussion with an author about their article is really exciting to me, because I love talking to authors. And Shannon is my very first author who's coming on, and she wrote this great article in Radiance Magazine. I don't know if we've had a chance to see it or not, but here's her article in Radiance Magazine, and she's going to tell us a little bit about it, and then we'll be able to ask questions. If you've already read it, you'll be like, wow. And if you haven't read it yet, then you'll have an opportunity to go back and read it. And I'll post the link afterwards also. But before we get started with Shannon, and I'll have her tell us a little bit about herself, let's have Cynthia and Christy introduce themselves so Shannon gets an idea of who her audience is here.
Okay, I'm Cynthia Kamea. I live in Long Beach and have been here a little over 30 years in Long Beach area.
Oh, wow.
I April of 2018, I retired from my nursing career and am now following my passion, which is more holistic medicine, and with a particular technology that I found helpful for me and, in my opinion, helped me clear my cancer.
Oh.
So it's like, okay.
Very nice. Very nice.
The gal that I was getting sessions from was moving out of state and stuff. So it's like, oh, doors are opening. Okay, I guess I'm supposed to go that way.
So, very good.
Like, all right. So
well, welcome, Cynthia. It's good to have you. And Christy.
Okay. Hello, my name is Christy McKinley. I live in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I'm a Reiki master teacher and a soul care consultant, and I work with heart-centered, spiritual conscious leaders.
All right. Shannon, you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your article, and then we can ask you some questions.
So I'm Shannon Leischner. I'm known as a spiritual catalyst. I pride myself in having a big toolbox, so I can do angelic communication. I can see past lives. I can go inside the body and shift and change things. I can go inside the brain and help to create new neural pathways. I can see past lives and how they relate to certain areas of the body, whether you have pain or whether you have blocks. And essentially what I do is help people remove the blocks so they can create bigger, better, more spectacular in their lives, whatever that may be for them. The article itself actually was something that was given to me by the angels. And I had originally written it not in that long form, but I had written that type of message on Facebook. So 2020 was about a time where we were supposed to look inside. It was supposed to be about self-authenticity. So we essentially, I believe we kind of manifested this opportunity to do so with all the things that we say, we think, and we wish and hope for. And this was our perfect opportunity to truly take note of all of the things that we have perceived to be victims of, or the traumas that we have faced, and look at it as an authenticity. So not that some of the bad things that have happened to us have been our fault, but why have we put that in our path? Because our spirits have created this path for us for a reason, to learn or whatever it is that we need out of it. But then also to take responsibility for things that may have happened in your life that you may have looked in the past and said, oh, I'm a victim, they did that to me. And take a bigger picture look and say, what was my part? How did I participate in this? And that could even be if even choosing an unhealthy relationship, you participated, whether or not you agreed to the terms at the moment, you kind of knew the terms were there. So then once we moved out of 2020, and those people that truly did take their authenticity seriously, now it's time to step into your power. I mean, it was always time to step into power, but it's kind of like removing the victimhood, moving into leadership. And now from leadership, now we actually own what our path is here. Now we may not know exactly what that is, but we do know what we're good at. And we do know what our skills are and where our strengths lie. And if we stand in those strengths, we then are walking our path. We then are now standing up. And I don't know if you guys notice, but society right at the moment, darkness is blatant. I mean, it is just,
Yes.
it's right in our faces.
Yes.
And what's happening is people are so fearful that they're taking the side of darkness and they're going, well, it's not that bad. It's time to stand up, right? It's really time to kind of just, like I said, suit up and show up. We need to be the frontline people, especially us, the light workers and the people that are here to be of help. We need to stand up and we need to say, this is as far as it goes. We need to help the people that are in fear and move forward in a more positive path.
That's really your very last line in the article. Let's suit up and show this world what divinity truly is. It's really resonated with me because I've noticed that fear it permeates so many different people in the way they are showing up. And it's because they never connected with the divine within, and they never understood that there was a divinity within. And if they were getting messages, so I got the same sort of messages about 2020. It's like, oh, we asked for this. And in some ways, it was our comeuppance, right? Somebody posted a picture the other day of our lungs and the roots of a tree, and you could see the similarities, right, of the lungs and the tree. And right before we hit this 2020 craziness, we were literally burning the lungs of the earth, right? Ad nauseum. We were just doing it because people wanted to clear cut the rainforest so they could do whatever it is they were going to be doing there. And to me, it was like, this is definitely a message. And then what you started your article with, when you're talking about all these things that people have said, I can't stand my commute, I don't like this life, I don't like going to school, I hate this, I hate that. And it's like all of a sudden it's like the brakes were put on and you're like, oh, I don't have to commute anymore. Oh, I can choose a different. It was interesting to me how it's also interesting to me how quickly we forget, but how people blurred and we were no longer living for Fridays. I said, isn't that a good thing? Because a lot of people lived for Fridays, right? Because you had this like set time and then it's like, yay, it's Friday. And then it was like, you know what? All my days are meshing together. It's almost like we were blurring time and space during that time. And it really saddens me when I see people getting right back into it. I'm like, but didn't you learn anything? Wasn't it awesome that we were blurring time and space? So when you said you got messages, how did those messages come to you? And why do you think they come to certain people, but not others?
So my messages, I mean, I have an everyday conversation. I call them my angelic team. So every
Okay.
day I'm communicating with them, whether it be in thoughts that I get. Usually they do telepathic communication, or I'll get just this drive, like I need to do this now.
Okay.
And I mean, when I agreed to do the article, I started thinking, I'm like, I'm not a writer, but I just let the angels kind of just push it, let them kind of help guide, not channeling, but inspiration. And I even had my son read the article and he's like, Mom, this is a little bit bold. And I'm like, it needs to be bold. We need to kind of stop saying we're going to do something and start putting our money where our mouth is. So as far as communication, why people don't get it, I truly feel that every single person has the ability to have communication. We just don't listen, and we explain everything away. And I've just kind of honed the skill of truly listening and not explaining anything away.
Christy, do you have any questions for Shannon or Cynthia?
No, not really, but I am really resonating with the part. I haven't got a chance to read the article yet, but like authenticity, um, that's kind of where I've come because I know for the longest time, I thought I was being authentic, but I was like, no. This past year helped me understand you kind of were, but not really. So I had all that time to really kind of think about it, and it kind of really helped with this past major breakthrough that I had around a lot of things. And so yeah, it's just really nice confirmation that you're sharing that now. I appreciate that.
Awesome.
Cynthia, do you have any questions for Shannon?
I don't have any questions just yet, but I didn't get all the way through the article, but I did get started reading it. And a number of things have been happening here. Like earlier today, I had someone coming reglazing my bathtub. So and dealing with the cats and keeping them safe and fumes. And so few things.
Yes. I actually would like to give an example, and this example I've given a couple times, but an example of something that's happened to us and truly taking the victimhood out of it. So a lot of people know that I was shot and saved in the Las Vegas massacre. I've shared that many times. And I mean, I saw it 2 months beforehand. I was able to kind of have, past, present, and future all at the same time. So I was able to heal myself even before it happened. The angel stepped in and helped to pull the bullet out. And it was miraculous. But when I sit in that, I can easily say I was a victim, right? I mean, I didn't perpetuate that. I didn't ask to be shot. I didn't ask for other people to be shot or killed or anything. But if I want to take my true authenticity in that moment, when I was right before I went to Vegas for that, I actually didn't go for that event. I just went to hang out with my friends. But when I was heading there, I was in a very hard relationship. And so I didn't want to deal with what was going on in the relationship. I just wanted to escape. So I wanted to go and just be with my friends and not think about it. So essentially, my authenticity part was I was running away from something and then found something else, right? And so the other part of that is that I was supposed to be there. I mean, everything happens because it's supposed to happen. But I'm not a victim. And I really work on any aspect of my life. I'm not a victim. I made the choice. I followed through with whatever cycles I was having in my life, and I was supposed to be there. And so if we look at it in a different perspective, we can then create a better energy. We are no longer swimming in the sludge. I call it the sludge of the 3D, the lower level emotion, right? We're no longer swimming in the sludge. We're out of the sludge and we're watching how other things are transpiring.
I get that, and I haven't been in victim mode for ages because I got myself out of that a long time ago. But my challenge is, like during this pandemic, one of my challenges was being my authentic self, which was, okay, pivot. This is great. This isn't what I was doing before, but I'm going to take advantage of this time and do things that I've always wanted to do, right? Because I now have that luxury of time to be able to do it. So I started doing that. I spent 2 months in Canada with my daughter and worked from her house. It's something I never would have been able to do before. And then I went back again for another 2 months. So I was there May and June, and then I went back and did September and October. And I would have gone back already, except that Canada closed the border. They did a hard stop at the border and they won't let us go anymore. But my challenge is, how do I help other people understand that. So when I'm showing up authentically, people are like doing their woe be to me around the pandemic. And I'm like, I'm having a great time and sometimes feeling guilty about saying that. I'm like, wait a minute, you guys, wake up. And then I find a tribe like this where everyone kind of gets it. So for the people who get it, it's really easy. But for the people who don't and they're doing their woe be to me, you almost feel bad being the last person saying, it's actually working for me because I made a conscious decision that it was going to work for me, right? I'm not a victim of all of this. I'm in control of my life. If this is what the universe is handing us, this is what I'm going to make of it. This is how I'm moving forward. I've gone within and I've done also, I've had a great year. But that's my challenge, is staying in my authentic space, but then feeling a little bit out of it when I'm not with people who are in that space, like people who are just still like whining and complaining. And you're like, wait a minute, you're spiraling yourself down. Like you need to raise your own vibe so you're not in that space, right?
Yes.
So how do you help people, or do you just, is it just my life is my message, or is it you try to help them, or you wait till they ask for help and then you try to help them?
So I don't know how many of you, and I think I'd be a millionaire if I got a dollar for every time I've shaken my head and went, oh my God. And the seriously, like you just go, wait a minute. I've been so frustrated. I'm going to be honest. I have been frustrated with just like I said before, the defense of the darkness, right?
Mhm.
And
Yes.
the just the I'm willing to do anything you ask me to do. Just give me my
Right.
life back, right? And we're
Yes.
going, wait a
Yes.
minute, your life, the way it was before, not going to happen again. We can go
Right.
back to what we perceive to be normal, but that life was supposed to go. It was supposed to move on, right?
Right.
And we're supposed to grow from it and kind of we're supposed to level up. And I'm
Right.
hoping that a lot of people did. But I'm right there with you in the sense that I've worked so hard to be the example and to do my best at it. Am I perfect? No, I don't think any of us are perfect. We
Right.
have our moments where we just sit there and we go, I don't know if I can make it through it. I've actually asked a couple times, why is my spirit here dealing with this? But
Right.
then I told a friend this the other day. I always go back to the light. No
Mhm.
matter what I feel, no matter how heavy, no matter how many times I shake my head and go, seriously, I
Right.
need to come back to the light, no matter what. If I expect for light to grow, I must first have mine grow, right?
Right.
And so, yes, I've had a lot of people come to me. I mean, I can't even say how many of my clients and people that I know have contemplated suicide during this time. I mean, it was a really hard time.
Yes.
So I help those who come to me, but I also do my best on Facebook and on other platforms to inspire. And I've written many of those memes that talk
Right.
about there's a divide happening right now. Those who are awake and
Yes.
those who are in the sludge.
Right.
Right? And those who are awake, it's our responsibility. Like I said in it, it's our
Yes.
responsibility to help as many of those who are in the sludge get out of the sludge, however that may be. Now, we can't do it through
Yes.
force. It has to be through choice. But if we
Yes.
shine our light, people will follow it.
Yeah, I've been talking to, actually, I was having a conversation with someone earlier, and I've known them long enough. I know that they realize, oh, I need to come out of this stuff. It's gross. And but she was still kind of fighting with that darkness part of her. And I was very aware in how present I was talking to her and being mindful of my own recent transformation into this newness for myself. And as she just kept replying back, it was less darkness, but I was saying, I was replying less to her. And I was just like, I have faith and trust that she will sort it out for herself, because that's just the kind of person that she is. So that's been easiest for me because I'm kind of like a recovering fixer and people pleaser. So the old me would have been like blah 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 blah. But I know me being on the other side of that. When I before I realized there was work involved, I was not in a space to listen. So I've really been really mindful about listening to spirit. Happy, hey, say this, and then just saying just enough, and then and then stopping versus
Yes.
keeping going.
I can relate to being a recovering fixer. And so that's my challenge when people start, I'm always like, but it's so easy. I'll be like, just start with essential oils and gratitude. Because and I'm just like, no, that's my fix it mode. I need to get out of that. But I want to tell you, just start with some lavender, get a couple of crystals, and write your gratitudes every day, and just get yourself, just like flip your mood, right? Do something to flip your mood. Put on music. I think some of these things are really basic, right? And so it's like, yeah, I've got an oil for that. I've got a crystal. I've got a journal for that. And then you realize, they're not even on that path yet. They're not even ready to hear it. They're coming from so much anger and so much angst, like around the vaccine. And the holistic practitioners around the vaccine are the ones that, I'm like, take a deep breath, connect with your guides. What do they say? If they say it's okay, do it. If they say it's not okay, don't do it. There is no right or wrong. There's what's right for you. And if you're a holistic practitioner and you're not connected enough with your guides, then it's like you can just stand and just say, I'm not taking it, or I'm taking it. But, you don't need to listen to everybody's noise around that, because what are your own tools? Have you meditated on it? Have you done any work on it at all to get yourself out of that anger or that fear, right? Because I think a lot of the vaccine stuff is just fear. So what have you done to get yourself out of that fear? And then your path becomes clear to you and you don't have an issue with it, right? And so people will ask me, do you think I should? I'm like, I don't know what you should do. There are no shoulds. There's, meditate a little bit, check in with your guides, and then the answer will be clear to you on what your path is ahead. And so again, it's one of those things where, I try to go to fix it, and I try to go to things that I think are going to be really easy for them to try, that I know will help them lighten their moods, right? There are certain essential oils that will just help you calm your central nervous system down. There are certain crystals that will have that frequency effect for you. There are certain things that you can do, getting your mind to flip the switch and just take a deep breath and go into, just breathe. Sometimes it's just breathing, but if you can breathe and go into gratitude at the same time, then it can help you get out of you're not totally out of the sludge, but you start moving away from it a little bit more. And when I saw holistic practitioners, I'd be like, don't get angry, just meditate. It's because to me, and then I'm like, yeah, that's fix it mode. And it was just challenging to me to try to figure out, how do you help people realize that nothing was done to them, and that everything was done for them, right? It wasn't done in spite of you, it was done because of you. And this was really a collective decision that we made. And when you really get out of the 3D sludge and you start seeing it from a 5D perspective, you realize, wow, we are incredibly powerful beings, because look at what we created in order to have the shift that we needed. And I remember, like 2 years ago, my son and I were driving on the 405 coming back from Santa Maria, where he lives. And I said, at some point, the society is going to implode, because we can't keep going this way. This is not sustainable for the earth, and it's not sustainable for us as human beings. To work an 8 to 5 job where you're gone from your house, but then you come back and you're on the freeway for 2 hours a day, and then you have barely enough time to sleep, and then you get up and you do it all over again, and you're living for a Friday. I said, that is not sustainable for the human condition. I remember having that conversation with him, knowing that at some point we were going to implode. Like, this this can't go on forever. At some point, it's going to implode on itself
Definitely.
because we had created something that was not sustainable. And we needed to get off of the hamster wheel, so to speak.
Completely.
Even I was talking to another friend, and it was interesting that nursing homes were really hard hit because how we transition has been almost disrespectful on having people lay in a nursing home with nobody visiting them and nobody seeing them. I mean, our whole culture around transitioning has been laden with fear and not with love and acceptance and not with helping people pass on lovingly or even without fear, right? And so I think that was a message to us that we need to get better at transitioning, that we are not very good. We're too fearful as a culture, and it's part of our cultural norms, we're too fearful of the transitioning process. So what we've created has been, I don't know how many family members I have that have just laid in hospital beds for 6 months to a year, just waiting for the transition to happen while the medical profession barely keeps them alive. I mean, I think that's one of the things we have to come to terms with as a society.
I agree. Along the lines of the vaccine, and I'm not going to get too far into it, because I think like you said, there are right things, and just listen to your guides.
Mhm.
But 2 months before this whole thing happened, this whole pandemic happened, the angels came to me and they said, there's going to be a virus and there's going to be a vaccine. And whatever you do not take the vaccine and do not allow your family members to take it. And at that point in time, I was like, okay, whatever. Like, because we were still so stuck in, we have viruses all the time. I'm like, okay, this is not going to be a big thing. It's going to be like the flu or whatever. Oh, and then when it actually came, I'm like, oh my God, like you guys are right on again, and I
Right.
need to stop questioning. I really do. I need to stop going, are you sure? But I don't know about you guys, and maybe you can answer this for me too. In the past, let's say in the past month, has your warrior spirit been activated? Because I just feel like a lioness. Like I'm like ready to roar when I need to roar. And it's not anger. This is defense of the innocent. Like it is, I am going to stand up, and I just feel like so enthused about it.
I've had that around certain issues, and probably because I'm in education and the whole Black Minds Matter and the assault on Asians has been so prominent in education. Um, I've seen it around those social justice issues. That has definitely come to my forefront a lot more, and a lot of questioning. When you read about how much better certain kids are doing at home than they ever did in school, and you realize that that institution we created called school is not necessarily a good place for all kids. And there are some parents who really need to evaluate whether they're ever going to send their kids back to that building. And then when you say, the innocent, I have a grandson who is hyper off the charts. So he's in transitional K, and he literally will get up when they're doing circle time and he's just like running and running in the classroom back and forth. And I said to my son, when he told me this, I said to him, have they had the medication discussion with you yet? And he's 5, right? And he said, no, not yet, but I know it's coming. And I'm like, you have to be prepared. He goes, yeah, I know. But but when I start seeing that we create this institution called school, and then we medicate kids in order to fit into this adult construct that we made. And I get very, very defensive about about those innocent kids who, if you left them alone or left them outside or left them to their own devices. And this is a kid who, when you take him hiking, he has to get in the ground. When he goes to the beach, he has to lay on the sand and just rub the sand. He loves to ground in nature. So being inside in a schoolhouse, he likes to take his shoes and socks off, doesn't like to wear shoes at all, loves to be barefoot. He needs to feel the earth, right? He's that connected and he needs to be grounded. And I'm like, oh boy, they're going to want to medicate him, right? Because he doesn't fit their mold. And their mold is, you have to fit in this box and you have to sit for 20 minutes at this time. And if you can't do that, then we have to give you some medication so you can do that. And so, yeah, that warrior, different aspects of my, that defending the innocent and trying to save them from ourselves. And some of these systems that we've created where you realize they're not healthy systems for kids. And when you're trying to medicate a kid who's 5 because they won't sit still, you have to question whether sitting still is what they need right now. Maybe that isn't the best place for them, but my son is not as avant-garde as I am. And I'm just like, oh, that medication conversation. I think he has a meeting at the end of the year. His only saving grace this year was that they instituted transitional K in California. So he's not in a regular kindergarten yet. So he's an October birthday boy, so he's kind of young. But next year, when he's in regular kindergarten, yeah, they're going to want to medicate him. And I'm just hoping my son gets that warrior spirit and says, no.
Any of you ladies had the warrior spirit energy come up?
Yeah, in different things. Here in Tennessee, they've been passing or attempting to pass a lot of bills that have been anti-trans. And my godson is and it's they do live in Florida, but it's just kind of like I mean, so I have a lot of feelings that apparently that I can articulate right now, and it's just unfortunate that a lot of unjustified fears have to drive such huge wedges between beings. You know, it's just like it's just people just want to exist and live their lives and be happy, and they're not bothering anybody, or they're just existing, and that bothers people. And it's just, and I know there's a whole story behind that. I get it. I grew up in that story. Doesn't mean it's a right story. And just, but just, oh yeah, but my long-term goals are, and even now, are just, I feel are just kind of unfolding in such a way that I give the greatest opportunity to all bodies and all abilities for the greatest good, and keeping and doing my best, that I can, with just supporting the earth and her inhabitants. And anything that falls in line with that, I'm completely down with. Is and I know there's some things that I'll have to really I have to call my crap out on that. Okay, that's cool. I'm fine with it now. I'm pretty sure I couldn't say that. Pretty sure I couldn't say that 2 years ago, or even 3 years ago. But now that I've been sitting in it for a year plus, I can confidently say, okay, when I have to come to this bridge, do I set it on fire or do I walk across it? So
Yes.
I have that option. And that's good to be aware that I have that option, because that's way more empowering than feeling like I don't have any options. So yeah.
Completely. Cynthia?
For me, I was doing working with someone else, a phone call earlier this week, and it's like, oh my goodness. You feel like you now have a right to do what you feel in your heart. Well, before it's like, no, that's okay. But then too, growing up with abuse and stuff, and being threatened with death by your own grandfather, I mean, you know, there's a number of layers had to dig through to kind of get to that spot.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, good, finally there.
Yeah. It is. It's really, really hard. And so, Shannon, what do you suggest are ways that we can help people? So you talk about suit up and show up, and those of us who are in the light, those of us who are not doing the woe be to me, what are some of the concrete things that we can be doing to help lift the vibe out of the darkness?
So I think I mean, I don't know how concrete it is because it does have to do with the unseen.
Mhm.
But I always say, you know, shine as bright as you can, regardless of who complains about it. Just shine as bright as you can. Inspire. I mean, inspire people, whatever it is. I mean, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I've been putting up some workout videos or workout like little clips of things that I've been doing because I want to inspire people to move. When people move, that energy starts to move, and it doesn't matter if you're doing it, you know, to work out or if you're doing it just to move and to get that energy going. And I truly feel help anybody who comes to you and says, I need help. A lot of us get busy and we go, oh, I'll talk to you later. No, I have clients that if they text me 911, I don't care what time of day it is or evening or whatever, I'm going to call them. I have clients who text me and they say, I need some light right now. I'm going to give it to them. You make yourself available. A lot of us that are light workers, we say you must have an appointment. I understand we have boundaries and we do need to maintain those boundaries because that's also, you know, an example for everybody else. But in this time where people are really having a hard time, where there's anxiety, there's depression, there's all of this, we really need to make sure that we're accessible to the people who've asked for our help. And for those people that haven't asked for our help, send them light anyway, right? If they choose to take it, it's there, but we're sending them light anyway. Clear out the darkness. We don't have to ask permission to clear darkness, right? We
Right. We can just clear it.
entities and attachments. We don't have to have permission for that. So
Right.
clear it, you know, clear it as much as you can. I go into a restaurant and I start pulsing light out as much as I can. And doing videos like these.
Yeah, I do
right?
too. I
Yeah.
try to pulse light out when I'm out and about and I walk into a space. And I'm also becoming more aware of the energy within a space and being in a space where you're feeling like, you know, I even over calls, like when I was talking to Shannon earlier about my sister who's in North Carolina, and we're going to bring her back. Just on the phone call, I was picking up the energy that was, and I could see it was a very dark energy that she was living with, even though she was trying to make the best of it. And then she finally, after about 2 hours of talking to her, she finally started sharing what was really going on. And that's when I said, you just need to get out of there. And then she said, okay. But for 6 months, she's been just playing this, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And I'm picking up a darker and darker energy. So I've become this past year a lot more sensitive to those darker energies, where I'll walk into a space or get on a call and I'll notice, you know, the energy in this call is not very good right now. And I'll start sending light to everybody, trying to shift the vibe. I also set up an altar in my workroom and I burn something every day. So I burn candles, I burn incense, I burn Palo Santo, I burn sage. So every morning I start by clearing. And if I know I'm going into a meeting with people who are having a really difficult time, then I'll, like, before the meeting starts, I'll get my sage and just clear the space for everybody. And just send them some positive vibes. But I burn something every day because it's, again, part of my rituals that I'm doing on helping to clear some of that negativity. Yeah, Cynthia?
One of the things I do before I go to sleep is I there's prayers and different things after I'm in bed. And I ask that if someone asks for help, whether I know them or not, if it's for the highest good and I can help them, let me help them.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you know, I can do it while I'm asleep because time is different there than here. So it's like, sure.
I like that. I've been doing some journeying around those kinds of issues too.
Mhm.
I like that.
So there's specific people that I specifically pray for, but I do a general as
Such a
well.
helping. Mhm.
You know, one of the reasons that I wrote the article, besides just kind of getting that out there, was to, I mean, I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but in all realms, but in our metaphysical realm, in our metaphysical circle, there's a lot of sharks. There's a lot of, everyone is after, like, those are my clients, you know, you're hoarding the energy. I'm not collaborating with you because these are my clients, right? There's so much to go around, especially right now, right? What I really want to encourage people is to band together. Like, we are here, and I will tell you, on the other side, in our spirit realm, there is no competition. Like, we
Right.
are all going, okay, what do you need help on? How can I serve you? How do we make this bigger, better, more spectacular? And that's what
Right.
needs to happen here. How do we collaborate? How do we create this light? How do we create bigger, better, more spectacular? And the first thing we do is recognize that we are not better than anybody else.
Right.
Just because we have amazing abilities does not make us better than someone else who may have differing abilities. We are all pieces of a puzzle, and we need to bring that puzzle together so that we can definitely, because we cannot be separated if we're gonna take down whatever's going on right now.
Right.
That reminds me of an article, a post I saw ages ago on like toxic spirituality about people that were just so very much enlightened and but it was pretty obvious they had not done enough shadow work, and it was just like, oh, it was just like, oh, okay, because I'd kind of known about it, but I wasn't really having those conversations with other people. I just thought, okay, maybe it's just a one-off thing, but apparently it was enough to, constitute the creation of this post. But yeah, it's just kind of amazing. And but at the same time, I kind of caught myself kind of doing the same thing because I just thought that that was a thing. But like, no, it's not. It's not a good idea to do that. And so I was like, oh, okay. And then I think just the awareness of it just made it. I guess it gave a lot of people permission who were just like realizing they were doing that, an opportunity to transform into like actual, true, higher vibrating being, and then just be turn around and help the others out of the sludge who were maybe like, oh, you got a little something there on your shoe. Your whole foot's covered in it. You might want to wash that. Yeah, I was like, see, I was all muddy, but now I'm good. If you want, you want me to help, I'm here for you. Just let it go.
I think it's, there isn't a problem with us owning our greatness. And we definitely need to do that. We need to own that we're great. We need to own that we are limitless first, right? But we also need to recognize the greatness and the limitlessness in our colleagues and in everyone else here. Yes, there's dark in here. Yes, there's light in here, but we need to be the examples. And I think that if we came together, it would be a really powerful union.
Yes, and I'm going to close with a quote from the article because it goes right along with what Shannon just said. And she wrote, if our collective thoughts and wishes created this lockdown, imagine what can be created as an empowered collective. We are being encouraged to use our abilities and natural instincts to help the masses. People are praying for help right now. We are the response from the universe. Really, really beautifully said. Very well written. Well, it was a great article, Shannon, and I really appreciate you coming on. Sarah is, if somebody just coming on.
Oh,
as we're leaving, but that's okay. We'll welcome her and let her know, and then send her a cup, and we can send her the recording. But Shannon, was a great article. I really appreciate you coming on and talking to us about it. I think that it is. It's putting the first foot forward as we start co-creating our new normal, and that's what I tell people. We're co-creating our new normal. So, take a deep breath and March on.
Yes, completely. Thank you for having me. This was fun.
It was a lot of
Yes.
fun.
Thank you. I look forward
And
to reading the
next week
article.
we're gonna have, next month we're gonna have Patricia Garcia from Idlewild. She's gonna come on and talk to us about her articles that she's written in Radiance magazines. And I don't have a date and time yet, but once we get a date and time, we will talk to her about it. Sarah, are you?
What?
Oh, she's muted. Go ahead, Cynthia.
I have a question.
Yes.
So in the Radiance Magazine, or is there a way to connect with you, Shannon, if want to, or?
Oh, yes. So to connect with me, if you look at my name, it's shannonleichner.com is my website. And then I'm on Facebook, Shannon Leichner, or Instagram at Angelic Guide.
Okay, thank
Yes.
you.
I do believe in the article as well. It has all of my information.
Yeah, the
Thank
article
you,
has
Cynthia,
her
for that.
information on how you can connect with her. Well,
It's
thank
fine.
you, all of you. I'll stay on, but Sarah, if you guys need to go, thank you for coming on. I really